A glass bottle rolls with the tide. Inside, a note, no address, no date. Only the handwriting of someone who might have died a century ago. It's easy to forget how huge the ocean is, and how small one human voice can seem against it. Yet somehow, these fragile bottles survive storms, cross continents, and wash ashore exactly where they can be found. Some carry love, others carry science. One carries a farewell. They drift for decades, sometimes more than 100 years, waiting for a stranger to open them and read. Please write back and tell me where you found this. Every message in a bottle is both a question and a miracle. Tonight, we'll open 7 true bottles that have traveled through hurricanes, wars, and generations, carrying voices that refuse to disappear. Stay until the end, because the last one wasn't found in the sea at all. Some bottles were launched not for love or loss, but for knowledge, cast by scientists who wanted to map the invisible highways of the sea. 1. The 131-year voyage of the German Barque Paula. In 1886, the Paula, a German barque commanded by Captain O'Diekman, sailed across the Indian Ocean as part of an ocean current experiment by the Deutsche Seewarte, the Imperial German Naval Observatory. Her crew threw dozens of bottles overboard, each carrying identical message forms. Message inside. This bottle was thrown overboard on June 12, 1886, from the ship Paula, 32° south, 105° 25 east. Please write when and where this bottle was found, and return this note to the German Naval Observatory, Hamburg. For more than a century, the ocean kept it secret. Then, in 2018, on a remote beach near Wedge Island, Western Australia, Tanya Illman spotted what looked like an antique gin bottle half buried in the sand. Inside was that same note, rolled tight, the ink faded but readable. German historians compared it to Paula's logbook. The coordinates matched perfectly. The bottle had followed the West Australian current northward and washed ashore 131 years later, the oldest verified message in a bottle ever found. That German experiment sparked a wave of curiosity. A British scientist soon took it even further, creating a message that would drift through 2 world wars before anyone ever saw it again. 2. The 108-year-old bottle of the North Sea. In 1906, British marine biologist George Parker Bitter III released more than 1,000 specially weighted bottles into the North Sea to study deep water currents. Message inside. Please break this bottle. Fill in the enclosed card with the date and place of finding, then return it to the Marine Biological Association, Plymouth. Reward, 1 shilling. Most were never seen again. But in 2015, on Amrum Island, Germany, beachcomber Marianne Winkler noticed an old green bottle marked "Please break the bottle." She did, and found one of Bitter's postcards inside, crisp after 108 years underwater. She mailed it back to the MBA, which confirmed it against their original 1906 records. The bottle had likely traveled in a clockwise North Sea gyre, looping from the English coast to Germany, a slow, century-long spiral through history. What began as a small science project became the longest-running ocean experiment ever completed. Some bottles float for curiosity or love, others for survival. This one may have crossed 2 oceans to carry a cry for help from sailors who vanished without a trace. 3. The distress bottle of the Yong Yu Sing No.18. In December 2020, the Taiwanese fishing vessel Yong Yu Sing No.18 left port to trawl the Pacific. Weeks later, in January 2021, U.S. authorities found the ship adrift near Midway Atoll. Her stern was damaged, the deck twisted, and there was no sign of the 10 men who had crewed her. The incident became one of East Asia's most puzzling maritime disappearances. Then, in July 2025, more than 4 years later, a family walking along the sands of Inissuir, a small island off Ireland's west coast, found a green bottle washed ashore. Inside was a sun-bleached slip of paper, scrawled in block letters. Message inside. Please send help. We are lost since 12:20. There are 3 of us here. We do not know the name of the island. Injured. The note, written in English, referred to the same month the Yong Yu Sing No.18 went missing. The discovery reignited the mystery. Had 3 survivors reached an uncharted island somewhere in the Pacific and launched this desperate message? Oceanographers estimate the bottle could have followed the North Pacific Current, been swept into the California Current, through the Arctic Drift, and finally the North Atlantic Current, a path of roughly 13,000 kilometers, spanning from the heart of the Pacific to Ireland's western shore. Whether genuine or a haunting coincidence, the handwriting, timeline, and reference to 1220 match the vessel's final voyage logs. The Irish Coast Guard forwarded the bottle to Taiwan for analysis, but for now, it remains one of the strangest maritime echoes ever found, a plea for help that surfaced years too late, carried by the same ocean that swallowed the ship. Most messages in bottles drift for years before being found. This one needed to be found now, because 3 lives depended on it. 4. The California SOS Bottle Rescue. On a hot June afternoon in 2019, Curtis Whitson, his 13-year-old son Hunter, and his girlfriend Crystal Ramirez set out for a weekend adventure through the Arroyo Seco Canyon in central California, a remote gorge of slick rock walls, waterfalls, and rushing mountain water. They had floated this river before and planned to rappel down a 40-foot waterfall to reach their campsite below. But when they arrived this time, something was wrong. The nylon rope usually fixed to the descent had been swept away. They were trapped on a ledge above the falls, sheer cliffs on both sides, and no phone signal deep inside the canyon. For 2 nights they tried to find a way down. The 3rd evening, Whitson had an idea. He tore a page from his notepad, wrote a short plea, stuffed it inside his bright green Nalgene bottle, scratched 1 word into the plastic, "Help," and tossed it into the roaring chute below. Message inside verbatim: "We are stuck here at the waterfall. Get help, please." The bottle disappeared into the torrent. They didn't know if it would be smashed, sunk, or swept away forever, but less than a mile downstream, 2 hikers spotted the bottle spinning in an eddy, read the note, and ran for help. They alerted park rangers, who radioed the California Highway Patrol air ops. By midnight, the sound of helicopter rotors echoed through the canyon. A spotlight swept across the cliffs and found the trio waving frantically from the ledge. 8 hours after tossing their desperate message, they were airlifted to safety. Curtis later said, "That bottle was our only way out. I can't believe it actually worked." What could have ended as a tragedy became proof that sometimes, even in the age of smartphones and satellites, a simple message in a bottle can still save a life. The ocean carries data, but it also carries emotion. In 2012, a Canadian couple tested whether love could float, and 13 years later, the Atlantic answered. 5. The romantic bottle that crossed the Atlantic. On Bell Island, Newfoundland, Brad and Anita Squires finished a seaside dinner, slipped a love note into their empty wine bottle, and cast it into the waves. Message inside: Anita and Brad's day trip to Bell Island. Today we enjoyed dinner, this bottle of wine, and each other. Whoever finds this, cheers to love. In 2025, a farmer in County Kerry, Ireland, found the bottle washed ashore, the cork still sealed. News outlets traced the names. The couple, now grandparents, flew to Ireland for their anniversary to meet the finder. Oceanographers believe it rode the Labrador Current south, merged into the Gulf Stream, and crossed the North Atlantic Drift into Irish waters. A love letter that traveled 3,000 kilometers, and somehow arrived just in time. Love letters fade. Childhood curiosity endures. One playful message from Hawaii would cross the entire Pacific, slip through the Caribbean, and reappear 7 years later on a Florida beach. 6. A child's message from Hawaii to Florida. In 2018, 2 siblings in Hawaii, ages 8 and 13, sealed a simple greeting in a plastic bottle and let it float from the shore of Oahu. Message inside: "Hi, we're brother and sister from Hawaii. If you find this, text us." 7 years later, Josie Law, an 11-year-old vacationing in Florida, found it rolling in the surf on Anna Maria Island. Her mother texted the number, never expecting a reply, but it still worked. Within minutes, the families were video chatting across the ocean. Scientists believe the bottle drifted within the North Pacific Gyre, then south through the equatorial current, across the Panama Passage, and north via the Gulf Stream, a journey of more than 7,000 kilometers. In a world of instant messages, this one proved that patience still connects people faster than technology ever could. By now we've seen bottles cross oceans, decades, and destinies. But our final message never touched the sea. It was sealed inside stone, hidden in a lighthouse wall, and discovered more than a century later. 7. The Lighthouse Time Capsule. During restoration work at Corsewall Lighthouse on Scotland's rugged western coast, engineers uncovered a glass bottle encased behind bricks. Message inside: Corsewall Light and Fog Signal Station. September 4, 1892. This lantern was erected by James Wells engineer, John Westwood millwright, James Brodie engineer, David Scott laborer, of the firm of James Milne and Son engineers, Milton House Works, Edinburgh, during the months from May to September, and relighted on Thursday night 15th Sept 1892. The following being keepers at the station at this time: John Wilson principal, John B. Henderson first assistant, John Lockhart second assistant, the lens and machine being supplied by James Dove and co-engineers Greenside, Edinburgh, and erected by William Burness, John Harrower, James Dodds. Engineers with the above firm. Tea had remained sealed in the wall for 132 years, surviving salt air and storms that battered the lighthouse since Queen Victoria's time. Hen workers read the note. They signed a new one and resealed both inside the wall, linking builders of the 19th century with those of the 21st. Bottle that never touched the ocean still proved that some messages don't need waves to travel through time. From scientific maps to love notes, from children's jokes to a builder's prayer, these bottles carried more than paper. They carried proof that voices can outlive bodies. The sea is vast, but it remembers. A sailor's farewell, a child's laugh, a scientist's curiosity, all preserved by glass and tide. Somewhere out there, another bottle is still drifting, waiting for the right beach, the right moment, and maybe the right person, you, to pick it up. This was Messages from the Sea. If you enjoyed this voyage through time and tide, like, subscribe, and stay for more stories the ocean once tried to hide.